Hello, everyone.
Caleb, welcome back.
It's good to have you back, Caleb. He's here every week.
I'm finally here.
Have you not noticed that I say that every
You do
single
say
one?
it. Yeah, it's a good one. We're back to the original three, though. We have no guest tonight.
Finally.
Fuck, God.
Those other horrible people.
All right, what'd you have?
So the first thing I want to bitch about tonight is this article on the Gospel Coalition that I came across. This website, I used to look at this website all the time, and I wasn't on it, but somebody on Twitter had referenced it or whatever because they're a big Q fan.
Mm-hmm.
But this thing, the Gospel Coalition, is this, I guess, church network, really, and it's not like any specific denomination. You just have to agree on the same gospel basics, and then you also, I think you have to be Reformed and Calvinistic to be in it.
Mm-hmm.
And they have a website where they do like articles and preferred reading stuff, and I used to read that all the time. And actually, me and Katie went on our honeymoon to the Gospel Coalition conference, and
you guys should
So
actually
you're
go
deep
on a
involved
honeymoon.
with this organization is what you're saying. You have deep ties.
That's right.
Very deep.
That's right. And so, anyway, but saw this article about QAnon. Is that how you say it, Caleb?
That's how I say it.
And regardless, I don't really want to talk about if Q is real or if he, like, is legitimate and gonna take out all the pedophiles.
Right.
I don't necessarily
beside
think
the
he
point.
is. But the point of this article was that any good Christian should disavow this stuff because it is a satanic cult. The people that follow Q. A satanic political cult. And so, if you know anything about it, the whole point is, and correct me if I'm wrong about this, but the whole point is that there is a deep state and the elite and politicians, celebrities, sports stars, people like that. They're all basically, not all of them, but there are a lot of them that are pedophiles and sex traffickers, and they're all involved in that. Caleb, is there any way you could shut that door?
Sure.
Because it's open and a cat just came in.
Fucking cat.
And so anyway, that they're all like. So anyway, they think,
a bunch of pedophiles in Hollywood and inside of government.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I agree that that's probably the case.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. But their whole theory is that this Q guy is embedded in the Trump administration, and Trump's going to get all these people arrested, and he's going to stop all the child trafficking and make mass arrests. And there are all these sealed indictments in D.C., and their theory is that it's all going to come out at once, mass arrests of all these people, these famous people. But from what I understand, the average Q supporter that believes it, they are against pedophilia and sex trafficking. They want the deep state exposed, and they want these evil people to go to jail and have justice served,
right? And
for innocent people to stop suffering, right?
Sure. So how is that satanic? Is basically what you're talking
Well,
about, right? Like, how can they pull that? I could agree that it's a cult or a political cult, but the people who are following it, I wouldn't say are satanic in any way because of what you just said, right? They're wanting these evil people to be taken down.
They think the other people are satanic,
right?
Are part of a satanic cult that is doing this stuff.
Now, in my opinion, I don't think you should just call them that. I think that they might be right in the fact that I think that Q is, controlled out deep state coming from a satanic place. But the people who follow what he's saying, what he's saying is all lies. But the people who follow it, like you're saying, they have good intentions. They want those horrible people to be stopped. They're not like, practicing Satanism or Luciferianism or anything like that.
So that's the thing, though. What he's saying is not all lies. But
the way that this person has gotten these people to follow these lies comes from a satanic cult-like place. I think.
Yeah, possibly.
I mean, it's
set
up so exactly like that to me. And this whole thing about Donald Trump as the savior. There's another hacking group was similar to like WikiLeaks kind of a thing. I don't remember the name of them, but they just released a bunch of stuff about Donald Trump being involved in he was bidding a certain amount of money on a 14-year-old girl in the whole Epstein thing, and Chris Tucker and was involved in it as well, and Naomi Watts and Ivanka and Melania Trump all were there were affidavits from people, from young girls claiming that they were bidding on them in the whole Epstein thing. And so the whole Q thing is bullshit because Trump is a fucking pedophile like the rest of them.
Bold.
That's the thing.
But how are you going to say that all the politicians are pedophiles, but Trump isn't?
But Trump's the one. Yeah. That's the big fucking lie. Right?
I've never thought,
and that goes across the board, no matter what you believe. Like the big lie is that Trump's on your side.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
He's not there for you. He wouldn't be allowed to be there if he wasn't there. And so, anyway, so I'm just going to read this little part of it because, at the end of it, this article is written by Joe Carter. He's an editor for the Gospel Coalition. He wrote the Life and Faith Field Guide for Parents. He sounds like a dick. He's the executive pastor at McLean Bible Church, and go fuck himself. So the end of the article, it says, why should Christians care about this political cult? And it says, Christians should care about QAnon because it's a satanic movement infiltrating our churches. Although the movement is still fringe, it is likely that someone in your church or social media circle has either already bought into the conspiracy or thinks it's plausible and worth exploring. We should care because many believers will or are being swayed by demonic influence of this movement. Okay. So then it says, the QAnon movement frequently engages in slander, which James calls demonic behavior, and then cites James 3:15-16. The QAnon movement often traffics in lies, which Jesus says are associated with Satan. The QAnon movement repeatedly sides with demonically inspired falsehoods that divide professed Christians from faithful believers, and the QAnon movement has a tendency to call evil that which is good, and good that which is evil, and to put darkness for light and light for darkness. Now, in this article, he goes through there and he describes what a cult is, and one of the things is they try to control information. And you're upset because there may be people that are considering it as it could be true.
Yeah, but you're trying to control the information.
Yeah, and how do you know it's slander? You could say it's unproven,
right?
But a lot of that stuff isn't. If you just watch the stuff they do, it isn't a coincidence that Chris Brown has the little boy lover thing tattooed on his freaking neck. That's not a coincidence. Yeah. All the hand signs and stuff they make,
dude, yeah.
You can say that it's unproven, but to say that it's slander and thus demonic is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
And part of what he says here,
it's just one cult pissed about another cult gaining followers is what it is. That's what it is.
Well, so they're
pissed about the overlap of the cults.
Right, yeah.
So the only other part I want to read is where he says, what is a political cult? And he says, while cults are often considered religious phenomena, they can also be political. What defines a cult is often debated, but they tend to share certain traits. In 1981, the psychiatrist Robert J. Lifton wrote an influential article on cult formation. Lifton identified 3 characteristics associated with cults. A charismatic leader who increasingly becomes an object of worship as the general principles that may have originally sustained the group lose power. That is, a living leader who has no meaningful accountability and becomes a single most defined element of the group and its source of power and authority. Like an executive pastor, Joe? Might that be number 1? Number 2, a process of indoctrination or education that involves coercive persuasion or thought reform. For example, members of the group engage in behavior that is not in their own best interest. Like tithing, Joe? Is that what you're talking about? Like, or controlling the flow of information, like we just talked about. Oh, heaven forbid somebody reads something that's not approved by you, Joe.
Yeah, exactly. That's the part that pisses me off about it. It's like you're telling people to not have an open mind. Like, you're too dumb to go look at that without it taking you.
Yeah.
Right? And we want to keep you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, that's what pisses me off. It's like, you should teach people how to be critical and go and explore whatever it is you want to explore. As long as you think about it critically, then you can live through it.
Yeah.
Right? You can make it through the other side and either take something from it and discard the rest, or take nothing from it, or maybe all of it's good. You know what I mean? Like, it. Mm-hmm. But that's what he should be telling people. There might be something in there, but you guys are smart. Go see what you give it away. But
yeah,
I don't know, man.
So number 3, economic, sexual, and other exploitation of group members by the leader and the ruling. I don't know what the class is, what that means. Like elders, and again with the tithing thing. Mm-hmm. Like, and then he said, Lifton also identifies several other traits of cults. Milieu control, the control of communications within a given environment. You mean like church discipline and excommunication and that kind of thing? Right. Mystical manipulation, turning the member into a pawn who will spread the message and carry out actions for the group. Like what evangelism.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and dispensing of existence, i.e. those who have not seen light and embrace the truth, are wedded to evil, tainted, and therefore, in some sense, usually metaphorical, lack of right to exist. Like the reprobate, Joe? Like, it is just, you've described yourself, yes. You ass. You ass. And then you make fun, and I'm not saying that whole movement's good, no, but like the people that are following
coming out of their mouth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. How is QAnon? How are they receive that guy? How's he getting sexual or economic control over anybody? Is he asking people to send him money? I haven't seen it if he is.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, but I don't think so.
Yeah.
I hate this guy that wrote this. Like, it's just so terrible.
Yeah, man.
Because all that stuff is so prevalent. And, like the sexual thing, I don't know if you guys probably know this, but, like, the Sovereign Grace Church Network, so they did a lot of the songs that we would sing at church or whatever.
Sure.
And you probably know C.J. Mahaney.
That's a very familiar name.
He's one of the ones that, like, runs stuff like this. He may have been on the board at the Gospel Coalition at one point. His church, the Sovereign Grace churches, had this big, like, and it wasn't him, so, like, he wasn't molesting anybody or anything, mm-hmm. but they had this big, like, sex scandal where, like, one of their pastors was, and they covered up for him, and then also there was some kid in there, like some, I don't know, 16-year-old boy. Find all this is like a Sovereign Grace survivors thing that people put up, mm-hmm. and they were in the same small group. The kid was babysitting for the family, and he raped, like, the 3-year-old daughter and was caught red-handed doing it. And they didn't immediately go to the police, and then they made the people that had the raped daughter, like, feel bad, and they may have even put them under church discipline. It's been a couple years since I read about this, because they weren't forgiving enough of the rapist or whatever. That's and insane. It's like, so y'all tick all these boxes, you jackasses.
Yeah.
And, like, to call, I don't care if you want to say that QAnon guy is whatever, a CIA operative or a terrible person, but, like, to act like that the people that believe this and want pedophilia to stop
are evil or are satanic because they want to, like, that. Yeah, look, it's appealing whether Q is legit or not. Like, we all want pedophiles to go down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, especially high ups, you know what I mean? Like, the ones that are controlling everything, like, never going to get caught, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We want those guys fucking taken down.
Yeah. Well, you can't prove that what Q is saying is not true.
Exactly.
I can't, your article has as much proof in it as the people that, actually has much less, in it than the people that are trusting Q. So are you slandering him? Can you prove that he doesn't know this? And
right.
Are you demonic, Joe?
Yeah.
Idiot.
Fucking Joe. What's his last name?
Joe Carter.
Joe Carter.
We're calling you out, Joe Carter.
It'd be funny if our one fan started commenting on his.
Yeah, that is definitely an annoying article coming, like I said, coming from them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if someone else had written it, it would have been easier to take.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You'd be
Yeah,
like,
it's not actually a cult leader.
right. You gotta be kidding me.
I know it.
Yeah, man. So what about these riots?
It's pretty wild.
It's getting wild.
So we were talking about proof and people being able to prove things. So there has been a theory out there that the guy's not actually dead. And Caleb says he is for sure dead. So I want to know how you know that for sure.
Is there more of a theory than what I brought up before we started recording?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay,
I've looked
all
into
right.
it.
Okay.
Like, I don't think it's probably true, but
Probably
I don't know
not.
that I would say he's for sure dead.
Yeah.
I mean, like, sure. I mean, I don't ever actually believe that anything is 100%. You know what I mean? But like, I do believe that he is dead because I think he died on camera. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
Could somebody not fake
they-
that? I'm not saying he.
Yes, but
if he, I want to be clear. If
it
he's
would
not
be a really,
dead,
I mean, like, it would have that. You know, the only way that it's possible is that it's full on deep state government.
Oh yeah, that's
Coordinated
I don't
the whole
want to-
thing.
yeah.
They blocked off all the streets. Every civilian that was walking around was in on it. That's the only way, because there were a lot of witnesses around that saw him die right there.
Let me kind of say what I say, and I think he probably is dead. And if he is dead, it was absolutely it shouldn't be manslaughter. It should be first degree murder,
100%.
or whatever.
And they
100%.
all should be
Yeah.
charged.
And like you're saying,
All
if
the
he's
cops.
not dead,
100%.
yeah, if he's not dead, then those people weren't really cops, and it was just to incite all this stuff. Like, so the thing that I've seen is that after this happened and the guy fled or disappeared, the cop did, some like independent journalist type people went to the house. He wasn't there. His neighbors came out and they started interviewing his neighbors. And like there was a video I saw of all this, and they were like, "Hey, is this where he lived?" And they were like, "Yeah, he lived over there." You know, the craziest thing, we had no idea he was a cop. He never saw him in a uniform. Never saw a cop car at the house. Nothing. Like they had no idea. His neighbors that their houses were 12 feet apart had no clue this guy was a cop.
That's weird.
On top of that, the dude, so George Flynn and him worked together as bouncers at a place.
George Floyd and him worked for years together.
Yeah.
At a club as bouncers together.
Which could mean two
The
things.
cop that killed him?
The cop that killed him.
Yeah, and that could mean
George.
two things. I mean, it could be that this was all set up and was supposed to be that way, or it could be that cop hated him
cop
and saw
hated him
a
for
reason
years. Yeah.
which would make it first degree murder anyway.
100%.
Premeditated.
Yeah.
Like,
Regardless of whether the conspiracy of is he dead, was it a setup, all that shit. Like, I mean, they're using what's happened now. Like, it doesn't have. They didn't have to set up that part. Let's say that happened organically, right? And old George is dead. God rest his soul. You know what I mean? But like, they are using this now to create basically just a racial divide that they love to do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This splits the country in half, and it causes a bunch of what's happening right now. And these people that are rioting, they do not, like, you're not going after the right folks. What's amazing to me is, like, what's happening is so powerful, right? And if you had the energy focused in the right direction, we could take the government down in a night.
well, that's because they're not trying to do that. Because
Exactly.
it's not,
They're not trying to, because they're still slaves to the whole mainstream media narrative of this is just a big giant race thing.
So
that's all it is. But you see the power that we have, people. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have to put up with the injustice that the police do constantly. The giant gang mob that they are. We don't have to deal with that. We also don't have to deal with the people who employ them, who are making them do the things that they're doing, which is the government.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We could change this in a day if we all understood what was really going on. But instead, you're still buying the bullshit that the mainstream media is perpetuating every day, that this is another white cop kills another black man. And And it's like, they kill everyone.
Yeah.
They suck. Fuck them.
Yeah, these people are so mad, and they're out there legitimately angry, 100% legitimately angry, but they're asking for police reform, and it blows my mind. It's like, what? Why aren't you asking to abolish the police?
Abolish.
They were chanting abolish ICE for like a week, but they never said anything about abolish the police in general.
Yeah.
No one, like that thought hasn't crossed anyone's mind, and it's like, how?
Yeah.
Like they're okay with getting robbed at gunpoint when they don't turn their blinker on, but they're not okay with, it's like once it gets all the way to the very other end of the spectrum of getting killed, that's when it's like, well, we need to just stop the killing, but you can still keep robbing me at gunpoint.
Yeah, you can still rob me at gunpoint when there's no victim of any crime that I've committed. That you claim I've committed a crime. Where's the victim? No, you're an extortionist. You come and you take my money for no other reason than you have the power to do so.
You're gonna shoot me.
And what's funny
is how much I resist.
Fucking, knee on my neck until I die.
And what's funny is, like, it's proving the point that I've made. The police aren't here to protect you. Like, there was this video of this, I don't know what kind of business it was, but the guy that owned it was black, and the rioters were like headed his way, and there was a police like blockade or whatever, like, so if his business was on the way of the rioters, the police blockade was off to the side. So he comes up, he's at his business worried about it getting burnt down, and he comes up to the police and he's like, listen, they're coming, I need you to stop them. They're going to destroy my business or whatever. The cops didn't move. They completely looted his business, and the next night they burned it down. And they sat there and watched them do that because they're not there to protect you. And but
they don't have they don't even have a legal obligation to.
And people, that's what's going to happen to you if you trust the police to do that. You see the businesses with the guys standing out front and with an AR-15, they completely pass his business by. Because they're not going to get shot doing this, but the ones that are tugging on daddy's leg and saying "Save me, save me," they destroy your business.
They destroy your business because
the cops don't care.
They don't give a fuck.
No, they're not there to protect you.
No.
And that's the same thing as somebody breaks in my house tonight. Everything will be done by the time the cop gets here. Let's say the cop does show up and want to protect me. I'm dead or
you have a body laying there. One of the two. You're either dead or they're dead. And they're there to fucking do paperwork and draw people in fucking chalk. That's all they're good for.
Yeah.
That is all they're good for. You better fucking learn how to defend yourself because they're not going to show up in time.
No.
Even if they could, they don't care about you.
Like, just think about this. When is the last time you read a news story about a cop preventing a violent crime?
I haven't.
It's so, I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen from time to time.
It does, but you'd think.
Yeah.
That they would, if it happened all the time, or even just once a fucking blue moon, they'd put that shit out.
Yeah.
Right? You'd hear about it.
I'll make this argument on the times they prevent violent crimes. There are times where cops pull people over. They're like, hey, I smell weed in the car. Let me search the vehicle. And they find an illegal gun under the seat. And they arrest someone who could have possibly went out and shot somebody with that gun who was maybe a gang member.
Illegal gun. Explain to me what that is.
Like a gun that had been used in a murder previously, and this person, the serial number scratched off of it, and this person's got weed and this gun in the car, and
there's so many convicted variables to that, dude. Because just because a gun's got serial numbers scratched off or something does not mean it was ever used in a murder. First of all,
well, I'm saying
a lot of times people just don't want the government to know that they have guns, and they buy them illegally. Because they shouldn't have to buy them in a certain way that the government wants them to buy them in the first place.
I agree with you.
So that's where, to me, it's like, are they really?
A hypothetical situation. So in my situation, this person was intending on hurting someone with this gun. Okay. And that does happen. Police do stop people and confiscate things, this or that, and do stop things from happening preemptively. And I don't think all the rest is worth it because it's not. They're really not, nothing's safer. We're not living in safer communities because of the police.
Yeah, and the government started it anyway in most cases because the reason that guy has a gun is because the business that he is conducting it is not legal.
Yeah.
And so the way that they conduct business is not legal, and it is more brutal. So whether that guy is dealing drugs, running a brothel, whatever he's doing, that are really none of the business of anybody anyway.
Yeah.
Like,
Which, are both things that should...
Because you don't see gas station owners gunning each other down.
Right.
Yeah, but and that's the thing, though, is like you actually do see gas station owners gunning people down, defending their business. Mm-hmm. And if, like now that, their dispensary's open, I'm sure there's been cases where people have tried to break in, and they've done that. So it will be essentially the same thing as a drug dealer in a state where selling weed is illegal.
Right.
Gunning somebody down if they're trying to get robbed in a drug deal, they were just protecting their business. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
and that's
so
there's no way to
that.
Yeah, there's no way to do it out in the open with these people, because it doesn't matter if you're selling weed and it's illegal in your state. It doesn't matter if somebody came to try and rob you with force and you use force to stop them. You're still going to jail.
Oh, yeah.
But like, that's not the case if everything is just out in the open.
Yeah.
Like, you can.
Yeah.
See, I'm wondering now, like, just with what's going on, like, what are the laws on defending your business from people trying to destroy it? They're not necessarily trying to kill you. They're just trying to destroy your property.
Well, I think you can. Well, I know that the Tennessee gun laws are like, if you see somebody and you have reasonable suspicion that they could want to do you harm and have the means to do you harm. And I think I don't know, there's 3 criteria, but I'm thinking if there's a guy coming at my business I'm standing in front of with a brick, is he coming at me? Is he coming at the business?
Right.
Like,
you don't see, my thing is like, you should be able to defend your business. That's your livelihood. That's what keeps you alive on a daily basis. That's the same thing as trying to kill me, because you're trying to take the money out of my pocket on a daily basis, which feeds myself, my family. And you know what I mean? Like that in and of itself should be enough to be able to stop someone with deadly force.
I think the best course of action would be to brandish your weapon, scream, "Get the fuck out of here!" If they start to attack you or they start to reach for a gun or something, do what you have to do.
Yeah.
You don't want to just shoot someone just if they clearly like walk in and start trying to grab shit. Don't shoot them in the back.
Well, my thing too, though,
ridiculous.
Is like, if you got a bunch of people coming in at the same time,
pop a couple rounds off in the air, scatter them. They're
I
gonna
get
run.
that, man, but
what
I
you're
shouldn't
saying
have
is,
to.
what you're saying, I agree with both of you, because what you're saying is, that's what a decent person should do. But what I think you should be able to defend your property with deadly force.
I'm not saying
I definitely agree.
that it should, that if you just go ahead and start shooting, then that you should be convicted of a crime.
It shouldn't be. No.
It's just you shouldn't. That shouldn't be your first thought. Your first thought should never be engage immediately. It should always be de-escalation. Always.
Sure, but there's a point where I have not been the aggressor. I am now just defending myself, my property, and what is it?
Yeah, but you can take actions to defend yourself and your property without killing people.
You're right. I mean, you should take
like
only
if
the
a bunch of
force
unarmed
necessary.
people are in your store,
I agree with
looting your store. You have a lot of time to think of what you can do. And
I
just
agree.
Shooting them
you should
isn't
only
the first
use
option.
the force that's necessary.
Yes,
I agree with you.
100%.
That's always the right thing to do.
One of those things where, like, that's, depends on the person what they think is necessary.
Right. That's true. That's true.
That's why cops kill people all the time, because they think the force they're using is necessary when they're just.
Yeah. A friend of mine sent a tweet to me from Antifa where it said, "Fuck the cities. It's time to go into the residential areas and take back what is ours." Right? Antifa's not. They're trying. Basically, what they're saying is fuck going downtown, and let's go out into the white neighborhoods around the areas, and start fucking with just residents.
That's so fucking
My
dumb.
thing is,
most of Antifa's white.
well, that first of all. Second of all, you're not gonna like what happens if you go out too fucking far.
Yeah.
Could you imagine them doing that on this street?
Oh my god.
Everyone on the street would be shooting at them.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
They would not. They wouldn't make it down the street.
No, because if they have guns, they're worse than all the ones that we have.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care what you got. Pretty much everyone on the street has a fucking arsenal.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be good for you. And that's what I'm saying. You get out too rural, it's over with. You know, even in like the small towns outside of Memphis, like Millington, dude, like there's tons of people. Like you start going and trying to fuck up people's houses, just even in the Millington area, you're gonna have a war on your hands.
Yeah.
You know, and you go any further outside of that, and you'll be dead before you hit the fucking door.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah,
It's very insane.
That's all like, you know, Antifa's controlled by
100%.
and so that's all like
100%.
them trying to start a civil war and steer it away from, you know, what they're, you know, them going after the government and government buildings and this and that.
See, that's the thing, man. Like, if this anger was directed in the right place, I'm telling you, dude, like, this could be the new revolution. It could be what ended the bullshit in the United States. We could tomorrow have a different society.
I mean, apparently in Minneapolis, they pushed back the National Guard and the police just with rocks. They backed out.
Oh, yeah.
They pulled out.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, I've seen so many times, like, there's this picture of, like, parts of Minneapolis burning, and there's a picture of, like, the Boston Tea Party or whatever, and it's like, tell me again how our forefathers didn't destroy property. You idiots. Like, that was the government's property that they were sending over here to be taxed, and they threw it, and that their anger was directed in the right way.
Exactly.
You're burning down the black-owned barber shop and saying you're doing it because this guy got killed.
And it's because they still watch the news every day. That's the problem. Like, you guys don't realize that the news is the government. They are just fucking arms of the government that are manipulating you on a daily basis. And even if you get irritated about what the government is doing, if you still turn on the news to get where you should go next and who you should be targeting next, like, you're losing because they are manipulating you.
Yeah.
Like, all of the government is bad. Stop tearing up businesses and start going after the government.
I
do that. It could be a different fucking world tomorrow.
Yeah. I heard, and I was just gonna say this. I heard an interesting point about going after certain businesses as far as like large corporations, like they, you know, went after Target. Like that was one of the things that got hit really hard. Because at first I was like, you know, fuck all those people for going in there and doing that. I mean, there's no reason to go after Target. They're just a business, you know, just like anything else. But this point of view I heard was basically if you hit these big corporations in all these cities and you keep hitting them and you keep destroying their property and you keep making them lose millions of dollars, they're the ones who control shit in the towns and the cities they're in. They're going to either leave or make shit change.
Yeah.
They're gonna do what the people want.
But that's not all that's happening, though.
No, it's not. And I've completely condemned, like, you know, it was like 147 different businesses were destroyed in the first night, I think, of the Minneapolis riots. And most of them were small businesses, and a large number of them were immigrant-owned. Like, what the fuck are you people doing? Yeah. That's ridiculous.
The majority of small businesses are immigrant owned.
Yes,
like,
and they're
the ones
already
who start small
fucking
businesses.
hurting with this bullshit, you know, that's going on. And so, you know, I completely condemn that. But the large corporations, if
I don't care as
keep
much about
destroying them,
I don't care as much about that.
It could help things because they're a part of it too. They're a part of that structure.
That's like
how the government is staying, you know, in power.
Yeah, the Nashville riots last night. Or 2 nights ago or something like that. I can't remember exactly when it was. But, like, they went down Broadway, which is, like, the main strip. It's their fucking Beale Street. You know what I'm saying? And they just fucked up bars and fucking the Boot Barn. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, broke windows.
Didn't they burn, like, a courthouse, though, or something?
They did.
Like
they didn't burn it all the way down. They broke out fucking windows in the Ryman, which, why would you do that? The Ryman used to be the Grand Ole Opry, and before that it was a fucking church. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a nice building. No one does anything there except just have a few concerts. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not a... That shit pisses me off.
But see, like I was saying before, there's pretty decent evidence that the AutoZone that was set on fire in Minneapolis was started by a police officer.
Yeah.
So a lot of these buildings, a lot of these things that are getting targeted are like, who's actually starting this really violent, really horrible shit? I mean, like the video of the guy his ex-wife saw it and was like, "That's my gas mask that he's wearing, and that looks like the top of his head. I was married to him for however long. Like, I'm pretty sure that's my husband or ex-husband or whatever, you know."
Yeah, and like, going back to the actual things that were weird when it happened. So, if you watch just the video that everybody's seen, after he goes unconscious, he's been that way for a while. The ambulance pulls up, right?
Mm-hmm.
You see it pull up. You see the back of it open. Out jump 2 armed police officers with a gurney. Put the gurney on the ground. The police officers from the back of the ambulance put the guy on the gurney, put him in there, get in the back. You never see one EMT. What?
That's weird.
Yeah, when does that happen?
It's weird.
That is weird.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You never know these days, man. Like, you can't put anything fucking past the government as far as, like, what they can stage, what they can do. Like, they can do anything they want to do and cause whatever they want to cause, which is exactly why we should be going after them and not the fucking Walmart. You know what I mean? And I'm with you. The big corporations and shit, I get it. But at the same time,
yeah, I mean,
this
it
is
was
a big
just
fucking,
like an interesting point.
Yeah.
Point of view.
Yeah, and I mean, look, I get that. But...
And a lot of these people, like, I know some of these people are paid, but I saw, I think it was Tim Pool made the point on Twitter. He was like, it may not have been him, but somebody, I didn't come up with this. Somebody said it. They were like, listen, what you've got is you've got a bunch of young kids, like, you know, in their 20s. They've all been to college and in high school. Most of their professors and teachers were pushing Marxism.
Mm-hmm.
They're now in tons of debt because they were told they needed to go to college. They came out with a worthless degree. They can't get a job paying anything. So they're in debt. They have these ideas of Marxism there. They can't get a job. And they've all been taught they should be victims their entire life. And so, like, it's easy to manipulate that group of people to go, hey, they were walking down the street in some town yelling, just chanting, "Eat the rich." And you're just like, you have to be able to differentiate between the Bill Gates and, like, the dude that's just built a company. Yeah. He's never paid some freaking lobbyist to go change a law. He worked his ass off. Made his money
and fucking
sacrificed stuff in his life.
Oh,
you know,
100%.
He wasn't sitting on some boat on a lake.
No, he might be now.
Yeah,
but for the last 25 years, he's been building something.
Yeah.
You know, and he, like you said, he's never lobbied for anything. No. People don't understand the difference between someone who has a few $1 million and and someone who has a multi-billion-dollar company who lobbies for shit. They're all the same to a poor person.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And they don't get it. It's not the same.
It's not.
And I'm not saying, maybe there are a couple billionaires out there that are legitimate. Like, I don't know all of them or whatever, but most of the time, if you get to that level, you've done it by stepping on people and changing laws and oppressing people, like, I mean, and paying people.
Elon might be one of the billionaires that's not as bad. I don't know yet. Someone who's a billionaire, I never trust 100%. You know what I'm saying? But the guy seems to be...
he's working with NASA, so I don't know.
I'll give you that. But here's the thing. I mean, the guy, during the whole coronavirus bullshit, was like, look, we're opening back up. I'll be on the floor with my workers. If you have to arrest someone, come and arrest me. Like, that type of shit is not what most billionaires are going to say or do. You know, he's tweeting out constantly shit like, you guys need to take the red pill. You know what I mean? Like, he's showing people that what's happening is not 100% real, and you should be questioning what's going on. Stop letting them take your rights away from you. Like I said, I don't know where Elon really stands on stuff, but the guy seems to be...
I mean, I like him.
I do too, and part of me feels like I shouldn't.
I mean, I think it's cool that they just sent 2 people up into the space station.
Yeah, man.
But
that shit hasn't happened in forever here. You know what I mean?
It's still like the 2 guys that they sent are like career astronauts. They've been working with NASA for
sure. But I mean, the fact that we sent somebody from the United States to the space station and didn't have to go hitch a ride with Russia.
First private
person
to ever go into outer space.
I don't know when the last time we were able to send our own people up there, but for years. Okay, so for years now, we've had to go to Russia, hitch a ride with their guys just to get our own people up to the International Space Station.
And they charge us like $85 million a passenger.
Crazy. How does the government make money?
Steal it.
They steal it from us.
Owen Benjamin doesn't think that Elon Musk is a billionaire. He's like, listen, it's all staged. He goes, I forget the things he said, that he was like, billionaires don't do this. They don't name their child an algorithm and run around with... He made fun of his wife, too. But he was like, it's just not real. He's so funny.
Maybe not. Maybe. I don't know.
You know, the Barnharts would be billionaires, essentially, but they just give all their money away.
Yeah.
All of it. Like,
Yeah.
someone just did a documentary on them.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they give most of it to, like, Heart Cry and shit.
No.
They don't. They give it to missionaries.
Who is Barnhart? Who is this?
Barnhart Crane and Rigging.
Okay, I've heard of that, yeah.
Yeah. The people who own that company.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
That company makes like $450 million a year.
Profit?
Yes.
Goodness.
And they take a stipend of $200,000 a year, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all they take from it.
Yeah, I know that they work with...
They've given everything they've ever made away.
Yeah.
They put half of it back in to the company and then give the rest away.
And I'm pretty
They
sure
just
even
go
with
off
their
the
company, like, I've heard that they... When people are in prison and they get out, they try to help get those people jobs,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
with the skill or whatever.
But they have their own... They traveled the country, set up their own organizations in countries, and that's where they send their money to.
Yeah, to their
And
own ones
yes,
that they've set up.
Yes.
They're like the good
And-
Bill and Melinda.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're like out doing real work in countries where, like, you know, women are seen as like second class citizens and things like that, and helping rape victims in these third world countries and things, and teaching people how to teaching women there how to help the other women there, and
Yeah.
things like that. And they have organizations all across the world like that.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's crazy to me, because
That
you
is
don't
pretty
hear about
interesting.
those kinds of rich
No.
people.
No,
No, they don't wanna.
They're not, I mean, like,
Yeah.
they don't actually have the money to live the lifestyle to be like
No.
that. So they're just...
I mean, they
Well,
live
they're
comfortably,
normal, yeah.
but they're not
But they're normal
living
people.
like multimillionaires, or as long as he's had the company, multi-billionaires
Yeah.
at this point could
Yeah.
be, you know. I mean, that's the thing, man. Growing up, and we grew up with their children, right? And growing up, like, these kids had less shit than we did. You know what I mean? Like,
Like, for Christmas, they all got, like, the $45 pump one-shot paintball guns.
Yeah,
You know,
that
we
ran
had-
off of like small CO2 cartridges. We all had like
Yeah.
real paintball guns.
Yeah,
you know
like
what I'm
the-
saying?
like
they had
the
the
badass
cheapest one at
You're all
Walmart.
making
Semi-autos,
fun.
like-
Yeah,
Those
like
are so
we're-
poor.
Yeah, no, like we were making fun of them because like we know that you could get something better. You know what I mean? We're like, why the fuck do you have that? You know what I mean? Like, because even then we knew like, your dad owns a company. Why are you?
Yeah, I mean, they had, like, the nicest house. You know,
Yeah,
they had a
of
really
course.
big house, but, like...
Dude, I think, like, that's probably the worst thing you can do for your kids is just to give them shit.
Mhm.
Like, even, like, Judah went over to Paul's house and was like, he has a little four-wheeler he rides or whatever, and Judah's like, Dad, buy me a four-wheeler. And I'm like, listen, we can talk about that, but you're going to earn most of the money for it or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think that's more, like, and he kind of, like, got a little upset at first, and then he sat there and thought, he was like, Dad, I'm going to save my money and get a four-wheeler. Like,
Yeah.
he wants that.
He wants it, so therefore he's going to do things
Yeah.
to try to get it. And I mean, of course, like,
And he'll take
if
care
he,
of it.
If he puts he'll take care of it a lot better.
Yeah.
And if he starts putting the effort into it, you'll fucking make the ends meet to get it. You
Oh,
know what
sure.
I mean?
Like, I don't care that he knows that thing was $1,500 and he
Right.
only did $200 worth of work.
Right.
I care that he waits on it
Yep.
and he does it
And he
himself.
keeps.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And that stuff, you know, I mean, and all of those kids that we grew up with, like, they're all doing incredibly well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and it's not because they were given anything. They're doing incredibly well because they go out, they work, they do what they have to do. I think maybe one of them or two of them work for the company and are pretty high up in it, but they bust their asses and they you know, they made it.
Yeah.
You know, they did it themselves, you know. And it's partly because of that type of situation. But
Yeah.
yeah, man. I don't know. not all millionaires and billionaires are bad.
Yeah. Some of them are decent.
Some of them are decent. Like it's not.
Look at John.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Decent fella.
There's a funny joke in American Dad that's like, he gets like brainwashed by some liberals, and he's like reading the list of demands, and he's like, all of the rich have to give their money to the poor, and then the new rich have to give their money to the new poor, and then the new like, he's like, and then it just will go around and around, like. And it's like, I mean, what do you want?
Yeah.
Like, I don't.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely for capitalism. The problem is that we don't actually live in a real capitalist society.
Nah.
We live in a world where the people who are at the top just destroy anything new.
Mm.
There is no free market.
Yeah.
You know, if you have a better idea, the people that already have the money destroy you before you get to put it into anything, or they buy it from you.
Like
right?
Walmart,
a lot of them
been
will buy
put out
it.
of business a long time ago because they treat their employees horribly, and another company that could have come up and got, you know what I mean, like gotten bigger and bigger and would just replace that and would have been better all around. You know, like things like that would cycle through. I feel like if it was more open, but these people they have power. And
and the biggest problem is that once you've gotten so big, you become the government. So they are tied together like two hands holding. You know what I mean? And so they help the ones that are already giving them money to continue to prosper. They bail them out constantly. I mean, look back just a few months ago, and you can see that the $6.2 trillion stimulus package was a massive bailout. It was not anything to do with stimulating the economy. It was bailing out corporations that were failing, which in a free market, you let them fail and you let the new one come up.
Yeah.
And there's plenty that are coming up. Like, we live in a society where people are innovating, right? Let someone else take their place, but no, we already control them, or vice versa. And so it's this, we keep them exactly where they are because we like the system that's in place, right? Because we control everything. So there is no free market. There is no capitalism, not a real version of it.
Yeah.
And
it's funny because, like, anarchy, I've been thinking about it. I think it is just a less so than a political belief. It's a recognition of reality. Because, like, the fact that hierarchies will exist, because at the base of everything, it is anarchy. Like, there is no real higher power. It's just the people that I guess are the fittest or whatever have figured out a way to manipulate reality to control us.
Yep.
Right? So, like, there are not, other than natural law, there is no law, really. Like, and you can see that. Like, I was watching, have you ever watched the movie Troy with, okay, so at the end of it, when they're sacking the city or whatever, like, they are, the king is like, kill everybody, don't take any prisoners, and I mean, they're just like bashing babies against walls and killing, raping women and all this stuff, and I'm sitting there thinking, okay, I'm sure that stuff happens in war and stuff, but because they're on the winning side, that's not rape and murder. Mm-mm. But if they go back home to their country and they do that, it is rape and murder.
Yep.
Like, and they'll be, so I don't know that it's as much, like, when I say I'm an anarchist and people are like, oh, you know, whatever, I think it's just a recognition of reality. Mm-hmm. And I do think those people are evil that are using, like, money and political force and that kind of stuff to pay the stupid $10 an hour cop to put his boot on somebody's neck or whatever. Yeah. But, like, it is what it is. Like, you are buying into a false reality that there is some type of control, that you know, there is something keeping you safe. Yeah. No, you're the only one doing that, and if you don't do it, you're not going to be safe.
Yep. I mean, definitely, and you're buying into a false reality that you have someone over you that has more authority than you have.
Yeah.
That's another falsity of this whole thing. You know, it's falsity is not a word.
Sure,
Could be.
Whatever.
Yeah,
I mean,
we'll give it to you.
Falsidity.
that sounds like less of a word than falsity.
Okay, whatever.
Yeah, that sounds like I don't know. Something's wrong with the water. Like your water's too falsidity.
Or your faucet's not working.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Fallacy is the word you were looking for, I think.
Maybe, yeah. But yeah, I mean, no one has any control over you. They only have the control that you give them. And these riots show that, even though they're directed in the wrong areas and towards the wrong people. Like, this does show that we have the numbers.
Yeah,
we can do whatever we want.
You can see it by other like mayors and governors' reactions before their cities have gone into panic and stuff, and like the way they're saying things is just like doing everything they can to prevent it. Like they're trying to like lean in, like we're with the people, and like they're like super. They're like more. They're saying like the best shit they've ever said, and you're like, damn man, they're on our side
because
it's
they're
awesome.
So fucking terrified.
Like, in Atlanta, they had rapper Killer Mike come and do like a press conference and talk to the people, and he's got like a cop and like city officials standing behind him. He has a shirt on that says "Kill Your Masters," which is like awesome, but like then he's standing there saying stop looting, stop burning down your own neighborhoods, which I agree with, and he's saying you got to change it by going out and voting in the right people. And it's like, look down at your shirt.
Yeah.
You idiot.
You want to vote in more masters?
Like, what are you talking about?
And it's funny, like, the people that you're voting for, because I'm sure you mean vote Democrat,
Yeah.
they're more authoritarian than the Republicans.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not that either one of them are good. Listen, I don't...
But that shit, too, is so misleading for so many people. Because one side is a little less authoritarian than the other, people they gravitate towards the right and go... Well, they're the saviors, right? They're the ones. Trump's going to fix this. He's about to send in the National Guard. He's about to fucking start really making this. Like, people are going to stop fucking burning shit down.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's exactly what they want you to back.
Yeah.
Is the National Guard coming in
and
controlling all of us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I don't agree with what they're doing in any way. But they're doing this in a way so that we back them coming in and fucking taking all of our rights away.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
What's funny is, like, they are, like what Caleb was saying, and I know that Caleb would be remiss to know that he was agreeing with Owen Benjamin, but, like, he's been on that kick for a while. Like, he's like, listen, they're reflections of you, your government is. Like, if you start not liking what they're doing, they're just these insecure little, oh, please love me, come back, like, and they'll do that because they're scared. They know on some level they really don't have this power unless everybody agrees that they have it. So they come and they beg and they plead or whatever. And yeah, I don't know. He had a pretty interesting thing about like voting. He goes, you do that on a machine now. And he's like, and why we would trust that to go push the button, and then and he didn't say this, but George Soros' company owns the machines.
The machines, yeah.
And that machine sends your vote there, and they actually calculate it. He's like, I don't believe they're calculating it. He goes, the only thing I think they're counting is how many people are coming and pushing the button. Because when you push the button, you're consenting to, I'm going to live under this. Yep. Whatever. I agree with this. I think this is a good process. So he goes, I think the only thing they're counting is how many people are voting.
I could probably get behind that, man, because it's a shit show. It's not real, and it never has been.
And it's so funny. Like, people understand, like, when there's nothing at stake, like the church that we used to go to, or like if you worked at a bad employer, like, there's not that there's nothing at stake, but it's very little compared to what a government or a elite person has. And they're like, what the pastors at our church were presenting was nothing near reality. No. Like, it was the main guy telling the other two stooges what they should think, and they were too stupid to ever have an original thought. No. And like, if you were behind the scenes sitting there, you could see that. You go, okay. Kevin and Tim have never had an original thought in their life. They look up to this guy like he's God, and so then they march out and we're in consensus that this is the case and this is how, and like, so that happens on such a small scale. You don't think they could orchestrate all this on a bigger scale?
Of course they can. I mean, dude, literally the meaning of government in its root form is govern, which is to control, and ment or mentis, which is the mind. Like, they've been doing this since any government has ever been formed. They're controlling the masses' minds. That's what they do. They can do it on any scale that they want to do it on. That's what they do. I don't... Stop fucking up the local businesses. Let's take out the government.
They had to rush Trump into the bunker last night because they were attacking the Secret Service and whatnot. They injured like 16 or 17 Secret Servicemen.
Interesting.
And then burned down a historic church next to the White House or near the White House or something.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's good or not, but I mean, if it's the church that all the fucking politicians go to get sworn in or some shit, like...
I mean, I'm sure there's
it's
been
corrupt.
some kids
Of
diddled
course.
there. So let it burn.
Let it burn. But yeah, I don't know. I talked to someone today and they said, what's happening right now is anarchy. And I was like, no, it's not.
No, because the people that, if those businesses knew that they were the only person that was going to protect that, they'd all be standing out there with guns. Mm-hmm. And then there'd be very little of this going on.
Well, it's not anarchy because the government still exists. And because they exist, this chaos that people like to claim anarchy will be is chaos.
Yeah.
No.
They're raging against the government.
Yes,
Yeah,
and we're not in an anarchical society, and look at the chaos that's happening.
Yeah.
So,
and Trump is calling the protesters / rioters anarchists. He's openly calling them anarchists.
Of course,
just
because
to promote that whole
man.
narrative of anarchy as this chaos.
Mm-hmm. How about give me anarchy, real anarchy, which means no masters and no slaves, right? And I'll be okay with this fucking chaos. Because at least there's no one over me stealing my money on a fucking daily basis, extorting me on all sorts of levels, trying to lock me up for speeding. You know what I'm saying? Take those things away, and I will be more okay with something like this. And that's still not anarchy, because you're breaking natural law. Yeah. To be an anarchical society, you live under natural law, and there's no one that controls anyone. Right now, we're all controlled. And the chaos is happening. So if you're worried about chaos happening with anarchy, why? Because it happens right now when there isn't any anarchy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And people are burning businesses down under a government. How about we get rid of the government and then we deal with the people that are burning businesses down?
But it's like the reason that they're burning businesses down is because they're mad at an institution of the government, which is the exact opposite.
They are so brainwashed. By the media, by the government, that they don't even realize where they should point their anger, and that's what's so disheartening. It's like I said before, with the anger pointed in the right direction, this shows that we could take this country back in a day. It would take a night. We could have it back. We wouldn't have to deal with our masters anymore. It would be over. But because our masters have tricked us so badly that we don't even point the anger. When they screw us and kill people for no reason, their factions, which are the police and military, that they send out to fucking taunt us and fuck with us, right? Those people are owned by the government. When they send those people out and do things and we get pissed off about it, we don't even point our anger where it's supposed to go, and it's towards the government. These people who kill us are owned by the government. They do what the government says. Your fucking mayor, your fucking governor, all these people are the ones that give these people their authority, right?
Yeah, it really pissed me off when the mayor of Minneapolis or whatever came out and was like, this is very upsetting, and I just really hope that the officers involved get charged. And
Fuck
it's like,
you.
You are the one who's in charge of that.
Yeah, you're the one in charge.
You are the mayor. Everyone answers to you in that city. So you go to the DA and say, you put the strongest you do everything you can to get...
No hoping.
Yes.
He
was standing there acting like there was nothing he can do. You are in control, you fucking idiot.
They don't care.
Like,
it's a lie. They're lying to the people on the news to be like, I hope they get what they want. I hope they get what they deserve. No. You sent them out. You are the one who sent them out to be those fucking dogs that they are.
Let's ask this question too. If let's say this was reversed. Somehow there was a cop walking down the street, and a gang of 4 or 5 dudes jumped him, restrained him, put him on the ground, and one of them knelt on his neck until he died, and it was all on video. Would that person have waited that long to get charged? Would that person? Would you have not thrown everything?
Would they have been able to be free for like at least a day or two before even being arrested?
Of course not.
And that's the thing, like, and that's people, they don't care about you.
No.
Everybody knows it. Like, I mean, think about every movie you've watched or whatever. What happens if someone kills a cop?
Oh, dude, it's
every
the
cop
world.
comes down on them. What happens if somebody kills a citizen? We'll get to it when the paperwork gets filed, and you know,
there's a process, and we'll let them off with paid leave for a little while.
That's why I hate all this.
And then there's going to be a big investigation, and we'll figure it out, and blah blah blah. It's a fucking scam.
And I'm so sick of the back the blue, and these people are laying there like, no, they're not.
No,
they don't care about you. No. They aren't going to risk their lives for you. Like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and even the like nice, decent people that are cops, because there are decent guys that are cops.
Sure,
you know, I've met decent cops that are cool as shit, but they still pull people over and write tickets to people and fucking.
And they still know
they're still doing their job, and it's their job as a whole is immoral.
And they still know that even if they're not doing it, the guy three cars down from them pulled somebody over and sexually harassed the girl because he thought she was attractive, and he will die silent, not saying anything about that guy.
The thin blue line.
Yeah,
you know,
it's
don't
ridiculous.
step over that thin blue line.
That's right.
You know,
the fucking flag of tyranny. That's what it is.
Yeah.
And that's why I just don't, like, I don't have any respect for them. Like, yeah, they may be fine people in their day-to-day life, but they're corrupt. Mm-hmm. They are corrupt because it's not even the same.
Because you are the fucking Asian cop standing there off to the side, not doing anything. That's who you are. As every police officer that's a good cop, you're the guy standing off to the side who's not saying anything about the bad cop with his fucking foot on somebody's neck. Yeah. You're not saying anything. You're not doing anything.
And a cop did, like a week ago, or maybe more, he made a video saying, kind of calling out all bad cops, and he got fired within 3 days.
Yeah.
Was that the guy
he didn't. Yeah, it's the guy like that was talking about enforcing like the lockdown stuff.
Yeah.
And also, he didn't say anything about anyone specific. His commanding officer, anybody there. He was just saying, "Listen, guys, think about this."
Think about it.
And he was fired.
Yep.
For that.
We swore an oath to the Constitution, not to anything else.
Yeah.
That's what they swore an oath to uphold the Constitution.
Yeah.
And not one cop has ever done that.
No, officer safety is top priority.
Yep.
That's what you have a dangerous job. Like, you don't be a cop if you're that much of a fucking pussy.
Yep.
That you can't, keep people's rights intact just for your safety. Your job is dangerous. You're giving up a part of your safety by being a cop.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah. There's no accountability, and you see it all day, every day from people that gun, and it's part of the reason why people that are normal people get mad. They're not part of Antifa or any of that, but they've seen video after video, like the guy that shot that dude in the hallway at that hotel.
Yeah, dude. But see, no one talks about that one.
No,
right? Because that was a white. There was a white dude.
Yes,
that died.
but that's the point. You can't. There's nobody to stir up against each other on that one. No. It's just simply the citizen against the government.
Yep.
It's not.
Yeah, there's no way to stir up some sort of thing that divides us as citizens.
Because the two guys look the same.
Yep.
A few days before the George Floyd incident happened, I heard about the story that had happened a while back. I'm not sure how long ago. It could have been a couple years ago. But this white guy he was like a anti-government political activist, essentially, and he had some of his property confiscated by police. I don't know whether it was lawfully or not or what, but whatever the case, he was meeting back up with the police at a gas station to get his property returned to him. It was like computers, a couple of cameras, and his cell phone or something. So he's filming. He pulls up. He steps out of his vehicle. 2 officers start walking up to him, and one officer's like, "Why do you have a gun on your hip?" And he goes, "What do you mean? Why do you have a gun on your hip?" And the cop goes, "Because I'm authorized to." And he goes, "Well, so am I." And the cop's like, "Get on your knees right now. Get on your knees." And then you just hear bang, 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 bang. The cop shot him 6 times, twice in the head, 4 times in the body.
What the fuck?
Right? The guy survives, okay? He's in prison right now, serving 30 years for assaulting a police officer, attempted murder on a police officer. He was white.
Yeah. And you just, I never heard that.
There were 2 FBI agents there on scene and other witnesses who were citizens who claimed that he never even reached for his gun. He just said, I'm authorized to carry one too, and the cops basically shot him. The cops shot him because he wouldn't get on his knees.
And a citizen has more right to carry a gun than any government official does. You know what I mean? And has more right to defend himself. Especially from a government official that he pays to fucking come out there and harass him on a daily basis. Yeah. It's absolutely insane. I mean, he had the moral and legal obligation to shoot that cop in his fucking face.
And all
when he
they
was
did
being attacked by him
was after the man who was shot 6 times and survived was sentenced for attempted murder. After he was completely sentenced and all of that was finished, then they fired the police officer who shot him.
Okay.
Yeah, and then he went the next town over and got another job.
Yep.
Like
I'm
they
sure
all
he
do.
Yep.
Because it's all, like I said, it's a gang.
Yep.
And it's funny because I had somebody on Twitter, of course, he was a Ben Shapiro fan. Ben Shapiro said something, whatever he said was not off base. Like, whatever he said. And then somebody below it commented on, he wasn't like disagreeing with what he said, he was just taking it to the next level about like cops and how wrong they are or whatever. And this other guy got in on it and he was like, you're wrong. Oh, I think the point the guy made was that the cops kill more civilians every year than gang members kill civilians or whatever. And the guy was like, and I said, yeah, like that's because they're the biggest gang on earth or whatever. And the guy comments underneath, you're wrong. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, well, you can comment you're wrong, but you didn't say anything to back it up. So what I'm led to believe is that you're holding a position you haven't thought out. And he just doesn't respond. Because it's Ben Shapiro. Like, and they know, we gotta back the cops. We gotta back the cops.
Yep. And boys in blue.
Yeah.
I've been there, guys. I've been there, right? Because that's what the media does. They literally rip us into 2 fucking factions. And they go, well, here's, BLM and what they're doing. And you can go, well, that's wrong. So we got to back the cops, right? Because, look, they're so manipulative. Like I said, I've been there. I've been right there going, well, the cops they don't just kill black people. That's ridiculous. But no, they kill everyone.
Yeah. And there are
that is the truth.
Like racist
they kill
cops
everyone.
that go around killing black people just because they're black.
Sure.
Like, the George Floyd thing, there's no evidence that it was race related.
Not
but
necessarily.
I tend to believe that it was.
Probably.
You know what I mean? Like the Ahmaud Arbery one, I tend to believe that race had something to do with that one as well. There's no evidence of it, but that's the way I feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it does happen 100%.
Of course it does, but it doesn't matter. Like, and that's why you can't hate crimes and that kind of stuff. It's just such bullshit because you can never prove why that guy killed that guy unless he tells you why he
killed him because he was black.
Yeah, and even then you don't know if that was coerced.
Right.
Like, you don't know, so you have to judge the action, not what you think that man's intent was because they had to be different, because they happen to be different skin colors or whatever. You can't do that.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's say that it is, disproportionate where cops are killing more black people. White people should be up in arms going, we need to take down the government. Like, it doesn't matter who they're killing more or not killing more. We are all citizens of the United States.
Yeah.
And this government is killing us on a daily basis. It doesn't matter who they kill. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's us against them. It's not... But see, they're so good at dividing us. That's what they do. They divide us so that we fight against each other and never go after them. It's insane, man.
I mean, it's genius. Like,
it is.
They spent the last 4 years splitting the country into groups and victims here and victims there, and then everyone who is against the victims. Mm-hmm. And now they're stirring the fucking pot, and we're just going to fight amongst each other instead of be united against what we need to be united
the real
against.
enemy, and the real enemy has always been and will always be the government. That's it.
It's weird that they keep the left. I understand why the right is united, because most people, if they're Republicans, they're pretty uniform on what they think, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they keep the left like that, because they
It's all
hold
over the
so
place.
many contradicting viewpoints. Like a Muslim is not okay with homosexuality, you know, and then I mean, I've even started to see it. I knew this was going to happen eventually, but like even with all this stuff, like I saw there was somebody at one of these marches flying a rainbow flag, and then some black people were like, well, how come every time something is about like black people, that the gay people try to co-op it or whatever?
Yeah.
And like, so I just don't understand how there's not more fighting amongst
themselves.
them. Like,
Yeah.
I wonder if they
will
about to break into different groups.
They probably will,
'Cause it seems
because
that
you're
way.
going to start turning on each other. It's
And
the who's more oppressed.
I mean, they do already, but I think it's like they still unite under the flag of victimhood, even though they disagree with each other on some of the more major things. They're just like, well, we're still all victims of this one enemy,
And
whites.
But see, the thing is, though, is that if you just would allow the white folks to come in and you guys target the right people, we could end this in a day. Like, stop attacking white people in general, because the majority of white people in this country are not a part of the government, and they get screwed by them on a daily basis, just like you do.
Yeah.
And
they're not racist.
No. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Have you heard Lil Wayne's story about him getting shot, and like how, because he recently like made comments about this situation, saying that people need to not make it like a race thing.
Listen, Lil Wayne's good about that stuff.
Yeah,
He's always talked about how he never faced any discrimination.
That one interview where they're just trying to get him to say it, and he's like, no man, I'm telling you, I have never experienced racism.
Yeah.
And like he like clarified it like 3 times. He goes, man, white people come to my show, I love them.
I love him.
Like,
It's great.
But
There's
like,
more white people
when he-
there than there are black folks. Like, I swear he said that. Like,
yeah, when he's talking about getting, like, he's like, when I was 14 years old, I shot myself. And he's like, I'm lying on the floor bleeding, and the cops knock on the door and bust the door in. They all step over my body. They're looking for the drugs, the guns. And he goes, it took one motherfucker to come in and cuss everybody out and go, what the fuck are y'all doing in here? This kid is on the floor bleeding. And they're like, we're trying. And he goes, no, fuck y'all. What the fuck are y'all doing? Are you serious? And he goes, and he picked me up. And they said, well, we called an ambulance. He goes, no, fuck that. And he goes, and this man put me in his car and he took me to the hospital. He goes, he didn't just take me to the ambulance. He took me to the hospital room, and he stood in the room with me, and he waited till the doctor said he's going to make it.
yeah.
And he goes, and that man said, I'm Uncle Bob. And he goes, all them other motherfuckers were as black as me. Uncle Bob's white. He's like, I know a good motherfucker named Uncle Bob.
Yeah.
And it was like, he supports the police, which, like, because he had that anecdotal experience where this white cop saved his life when he was a kid. And it's like a very strong story to so I understand that. But like, the whole thing is just funny because he's like, I know a good motherfucker named Uncle Bob. Like,
yeah, no, and I mean, like, at least he's more, like, he's not letting them play him.
Right.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
Yep.
Because there's degrees to how, I was trying to find this thing. Dude, I hate when I see stuff on Twitter. I need to just, when I see something like this, take a picture of it.
Yeah.
But this dude posted this thing that was like him talking about like the amount of interactions with police with white people per 10,000 or something, and with black people per 10,000, and how many of them ended up in deaths. And it was like 4 in 10,000 interactions with black people ended up in death, and then 5 in 10,000 with white people ended up in death. And he's like, this, and I can't say this as well as he did, but he's like, this removes the variability factors, and then makes it to where, and he was like, please explain to me why the cops are racist again. Like, how with this statistic that he had pulled off the FBI website, like, how does that make them racist if they're doing that?
Yeah.
And then also, dude, like, if that is just, why would there be black cops? There's plenty of black cops.
Yeah.
Like, if they were just going after black people, like, why would they ever still work there?
Yeah. Did you see what Michael Moore said?
No.
He said some shit I agreed with, in the sense of, like, he was like, let the 3rd precinct burn. Hopefully all the cops got out safe.
Yeah.
No violence, like something like that. And then he said something about, we got to get rid of all of the bad cops and replace them with good people, aka people of color.
Yeah, because everybody. And what's so funny about it is, like, I don't understand. Like, as people move around more, like, we're getting to the point where, I mean, none of us obviously will see it, but, like, how many generations until everybody looks the same? Because we've all mixed so much.
Yeah.
Like, it'll be like, so then what is it? Because clearly there's no difference between the races. I mean, there'll be cultural differences.
Yeah.
In some cases, but there's not any actual, like, that. Like,
Yeah.
by good people, I mean people of color. Like,
Yeah.
like, so what will it be then?
Yeah. It's just insane.
Well, how long we been going?
I don't know.
Well over an hour.
Yeah. Where it ended, I kind of missed that last part. Sorry about that.
You don't need to know anything.
Nah, it's fine. I'll listen to it later.
No, you won't. No one does.
I'll be the only one that listens that far.
Well,
yeah. The enemy's the government. We'll end it with that.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see you next week. Have a nice night.
yep.